That's all right. All right. All right. I'm going to get us live then. Let's see. Hop over to YouTube and go live. And we're live. Here we are, everybody. Sorry, it took us a little longer to get going than normal viewers. Hey, Jeff McKinney.
Hey, hi, Jeff McKinney.
All right, so we're just getting ready to go with the show. I think, Jeff, do you have the show notes ready to go?
Almost.
Okay. If you're watching and you don't know who the other gentleman on our screen is, that is Mr. Ryan Hannigan joining us this week from Focus on the Beer, Focus on the Claw, as we like to say.
The family.
Yeah, you got to do that now.
I do have to do that.
All right. I think we're all set to go. Jeff, are you ready?
I'm good. Yeah,
Is that double S on purpose?
Where? What? Huh? Who?
Folk cussing?
I don't know how to spell. Come on.
Ooh, what am I doing? Uh-oh.
Turn your camera back on.
It's on. I tried a beta thing that says blur my background.
Don't do that. Don't beta. Here.
Now Solomon's gonna go do it.
Okay. No, I'm good.
All it did was just black out my screen.
All right. Everybody's got their names up. Okay.
Just a second.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
You can't come back. Died. Is there a green screen function? That'd be awesome.
I wish there was. I got a green behind me, but right no green screen.
So that's all we need is Solomon doing the weather during the podcast.
Whoa, look at this floating beer. Ooh.
I am causing so many issues. You gave me too much control.
I figured you could handle it.
No, it's having troubles. Now Jitsi just doesn't like me. It won't let me click anything.
Oh man.
Ryan, just drop again and come back in.
I'll be back in just a second.
We're not ready yet anyway.
Sorry to your viewers.
All three of them.
Methyl Ethel is pissed right now. Hi, Methyl.
Hi, Methyl Ethel.
Yeah, now it doesn't even want to.
You can't even
leave.
All right, here.
It won't let me leave.
All right.
I have to.
Beckles is going to kick you out.
There you go.
You've been 86th from the
now
podcast.
That he got booted, he probably can't come back.
Right.
And hi, Chelsea.
Hey, Chelsea. If that's a Chelsea I'm thinking about, congrats on the new job.
Awesome, Chelsea.
You keep getting jobs that are closer and closer to my house. That makes it a lot better for me. So I like that. Now he's joined and he's muted and his camera is
on. No camera, no mic. You gotta click accept, bro.
Oh.
Yeah!
All right. Well, this is what episode 239 is going to look like.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. All right.
239 times.
Yep. Right. All right. You guys all set?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Ryan, if you need to keep dropping out and joining in, just do what you need to do. We're good. All right. Here we go.
I'll be good.
Okay, cool. Oh, I better start recording, though. That would be good. That was close. All right. Here we go.
This is Jeff Ehrman, Paradox Beer Company. You're listening to the We Like Drinking podcast, where you never drink alone.
At the sound of the tone, the official We Like Drinking time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
Oh, great.
This is where the jams get kicked out, bro.
Yeah. All right, let's try that again.
This is Jeff Ehrman, Paradox Beer Company. You're listening to the We Like Drinking podcast, where you never drink alone.
At the sound of the tone, the official We Like Drinking time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
This week on episode 239 of the We Like Drinking podcast, we'll be focusing on spiked seltzers and wine water with Colorado Springs resident beer expert Ryan Hannigan. So crack open your beers, uncork that wine, and let's get drinking. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get through that opening with Solomon over there riding a horse the whole time through the.
That's exactly what it was. You're good. We should start a competitive charades team.
Hey, Jeff Ehrman. I know why you put that on there, Eccles, because you thought you needed to always have the Jeffs outnumber everybody else.
That's right.
It's 2 against 2 tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff
2
Ehrman.
Jeffs and 2 non-Jeffs.
Jeff Ehrman couldn't be here because he's washing his Fugazi t-shirt.
Well, we talked about, if we had lost Jeff Solomon, and so I got to make sure I have enough Jeffs in the rotation to just fill in if anything ever happens to one of the Jeffs.
So you're just gonna rotate Ehrmans and Burrows and all those other guys.
Kralix.
Yeah.
We've got like 5 of them, so we're good. All right, so cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome to Happy Hour 239 of the only 2-time award-winning topical beer and wine education podcast focusing on beer. Because Jeff Ryan. See, it's Jeff Ryan now. Ryan Hannigan is on the show. Jeff Ruyak. It's all Jeff night.
We focus on fun, ladies and gentlemen.
That's what we do. I don't know.
How many S's on focus?
4.
All right. So by now you're listening to the show. You're like,
what the?
There's after they say that, they're like, I got to make sure I never miss another episode of this show. So be sure to visit welikedrinking.com/subscribe to find out how you can get subscribed to this. Just magic. Podcast magic tonight. All right, well, let's do this. Let's get into who we're drinking with and what we're drinking so we can kick this pig down the curb. We've got our wine blogger, Jeff Solomon.
Sure.
Why not? We've got our beer brewer, John Ruyak.
I did that yesterday. I'll do that tomorrow.
And I am your host, Jeff Eccles. Our guest tonight is the host of the Colorado Springs craft beer podcast, Focus on the Beer. When he's not interviewing the brewers and shakers of the Colorado Springs scene, he can be found buying and hoarding all the White Claw he can find. He is Ryan Hannigan. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome back, we should
I'll
say.
give myself a clap. I know it's been a while since I've been on your show.
It has been. I think it was episode 150. Something like that.
So every about 100 or so, I'm doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, you've been on our show before?
You were drinking.
Shit.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often with Solomon. All right, so Ryan, you're familiar with the show. Let's get to it. Let's start with you, Ryan. What's in your glass tonight?
Starting off with a little local craft beer from Colorado Springs here. This is Brass Brewing. This is their Key Lime Pie Berliner Weiss. So great, beautiful color. Nice little teku there. So, and then I also have some beer flavored beer from Wiley Roots Brewing.
Beer flavored beer.
Well, that sounds
Excellent.
delicious.
Flavored.
The guys have been jealous several times of the Brass. We did a show down at the brewery a month or so ago, so that was a lot of fun. Jeff Solomon, what you drinking?
Yeah, so I schlepped this gigantic 32-ounce crowler back from downtown Gilroy the other day. This is from Promise Land Brewing Company, which is a newer brewery in Gilroy from some folks that do some really awesome barbecue as well. And their beer is fantastic. This is the Gravy Imperial Stout. It is coming in at a humongous Riesling level. 12.5% alcohol. I specifically bought this last Thursday because all of the proceeds from Promised Land last Thursday went directly to the Gilroy Garlic Festival shooting victims relief fund. So I was really happy to lay some money down for a good cause and an amazing beer. And this is just it's motor oil, ladies and gentlemen. This is awesome. The guy's pouring the crowler for me. And he goes, "Have you tried the latest batch of gravy?" And I go, "No." He goes, "It's really boozy." And I'm like, "That's just my jam." Just my jam.
Music to my ears. I can only do this one night a week. I may as well get every penny's worth.
That beer is 3 times as much alcohol as this crowler.
It's hot. It's cold and hot at the same time.
That's awesome. John, what do you got?
So I've had this on the show before. I'm having a little bit of a blood test tomorrow. Nothing serious, just an annual type of thing. So I didn't want too many residual sugars. So I poured a finger or two of this Ben Nevis single malt Scotch, distilled in 1990, bottled in 1999. This is bottle 667 out of a total of 948 that were bottled out of this distilling run.
Wow. And what's that floating in the bottle?
Oh, remember when I opened it up? Oh my God, it must have been a year and a half ago when last time I had it. It's the end of the cork that broke off. It's all right. It's sanitized by now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 43% alcohol. There's no germs growing in it.
No, you're good. I'm simply going with a classic, the iconic West Coast style IPA. I've just got a can of the Stone Original here that I'm going with tonight.
That's not 2.0. That's West Coast. That's Stone West Coast.
Yeah, Stone West Coast. This is not Arrogant Bastard 2.0.
It's not the Pale Ale 2.0, their flagship beer that nobody's ever had before.
No, it's not.
Okay. The Pale Ale is our flagship. Really?
Right. Okay, so now we've got everybody introduced. We've got all our booze. It's time to get into the rest of the show. So let's kick it off a little bit. We like to call wine, beer, or pop culture reference. This is where I'm going to give these guys a term, and they're going to try to tell me if it's a wine term, a beer term, or some kind of pop culture reference. The term this week is Zidell. So is Zidell a wine term, a beer term, or a pop culture reference? John Ruyak, let's start with you this week.
Can you spell that for me?
Seidel.
Seidel.
Mm-hmm.
Seidel.
Seidel. Seidel. Boy, I think I've first seen this term before. I was going to say something smart where it sounds like some 1970s LP record club type of thing that now makes wine glasses, but that's Riedel. It's quite the transition from like vinyl to crystal glasses, right?
I like going with it though.
Seidel. Wow. I'm gonna think this is a wine term. Yeah, it's a wine term. Maybe some sort of white wine producer from Germany.
Okay. Okay, so John Ruyak is going with some kind of generic wine term. Ryan Hannigan, do you know what Seidel is?
So you're saying Seidel?
Yes.
Okay. I think John's right in that it's German, but I think it's a beer mug.
Okay.
That's what I think it is.
Going with a beer mug. Okay.
I think the Rydell actually is like he was on the right track there, and then he went back. He took a left turn. But I think it's a beer mug or a style of beer mug.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been known to do that.
Jeff Solomon. Ryan Hannigan is going with some kind of beer mug. Jeff Solomon.
If it turns out to be the beer mug that's shaped like a boot, I'm gonna shit myself. Seidel.
I'm just gonna say that's it because I'm ready to you get yourself on a podcast.
That's the worst kind of bullying. Everybody's just cheering at you, going shit, shit, shit. Okay, Seidel. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but at one time I was a connoisseur of stand-up comedy. Like I would watch comedy specials whenever I could. I would buy, like I don't know if you know this, I used to work at a record store. I would buy comedy albums once a week along with everything else. So I know that Howie Seidel is a comedian out of he worked the Catskills in the in the early 1960s. He was actually the first bona fide prop comedian to smash fruit with a hammer. And I believe his punchline was, "How you like them apples?" Howie Seidel. Rest in peace.
Howie Seidel. All right. I gotta say that was a wide range of guesses tonight. And actually, one of you is right. So we have well, Jeff, you're saying it's a pop culture reference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got 3 of the answers, 3 possibilities. One of you is right. The person that is right is Ryan Hannigan, our guest, got it right. He nailed it. Seidel is the only beer glass with a handle, typically very heavy and sturdy. They can have different textures and come in different sizes, also called a mug or Krug. Seidel.
I like the ones with dimples in them.
I like the one with dimples myself. That's the ones I like. Good job, Ryan.
I just heard it before, and it's the only reason I knew. I was like, I've heard that word before. As soon as you spelled it, I was like, all right, I didn't know how it was pronounced, but I'm good to go.
Excellent. All right, so Ryan, man, has a lot changed since the last time you were on our show.
Yeah, gosh. What was the date when I was on the show last?
It's been, man, a couple years maybe. Has it been that long?
Probably like a year or two, maybe.
Yeah. So Focus on the Beer is still going.
We are still going. We're limping along pretty well. I have a 5-month-old, so I don't have a whole lot of time to do anything else but hold on to a 5-month-old.
Congratulations on the little guy.
Congratulations. It is weird how that works, you know. We joke about how I used to be a wine blogger, and then I had kids, and this crazy thing happened.
Yeah, I used to be a beer blogger. I know the same thing.
Yeah, it's amazing how those little things can take over your life just a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it's a good time. I'm getting my shots in here and there. Things are different just in the Colorado Springs world too.
Yeah. So now when you were on last time, it was just you running Focus on the Beer. You've added a co-host, kind of, haven't you?
Well, Josh has always been part of Focus on the Beer. He actually was writing for Focus on the Beer before I was a part of it. So back in, let's see, I guess we started in 2010 or so. Mm-hmm. And back in 2013, The blog was a little bit defunct, and we decided to revive it a little bit. And so I brought him back on, and he helps out a lot. But we have a guy up in Denver that's helping us out with a little bit of his Denver postings. And we've got Katie Black here in town. If you guys might know her, she's doing all of our event postings. So the Drink Local, if you're looking for all of the beer events that you want to go to in Colorado Springs, we've got those up Monday, usually about noon. We have it up with all the great things.
Yeah, it is like that is my go-to. Like I used to try to use Facebook events to try to get my game plan together, and it just doesn't work. So I just sit there with bated breath, waiting for the post to come out for the folks on the beer. Here's what's going on this week. So I appreciate that you guys do that.
Yeah, we're testing a new format out. This week's the first one, so it should be easier to look at both on mobile and on a desktop.
Oh, nice.
More of a tabular system instead of having to just scroll through everything.
Excellent. All right. And if we haven't mentioned it yet, so if people want to get to your website, it is
Focus on the .beer.
Focus on the .beer. And you can follow on Facebook at Focus on the Beer as well, correct?
Yep, we're Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Vimeo, YouTube. Everything's Focus on the Beer.
Perfect. You guys did it well. Jeff Solomon.
I'm sorry, I'm watching the chat here, and I'm just seeing our two friends, Chelsea and Methyl Ethel, like become best friends. Like it just drew me away. So Ryan, along with the Focus on the Beer website, you have a podcast as well, right?
We do. We don't do it near enough. We probably put about 1 to 2 episodes out a month right now.
1 to 2 episodes a month. So basically, you're talking about 4 months worth of We Like Drinking content, right?
Exactly.
I just love when I do get a chance to listen. You guys can go on forever just talking about awesome beer stuff. Like I know that sometimes folks talk about our show as like kind of hanging out with your friends. I feel like it's the same thing when I'm listening to your show. So I just wanted to say, thanks, man.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's what we look for, and we try to sort of make it feel less like, I mean, I don't want to say less structured, but less like stale. And a lot of that is just the fact that we don't we record it live, but then we edit it all in post. So, but we don't take anything out. Everything is straight through. So if you mess up saying something, it stays in there. Which is, just like what you guys do. So it works out nicely.
It does. And it is like you're being there because you guys are always together. You get all the brewers in town. It's a lot of fun. John.
So actually, I was reading something in the blog post type thing about the change. Seems like the changing scene in Colorado Springs, and I was reading something about the Ironbird Brewing Company, but beyond that, there was some side story about a landlord who was trying to charge somebody $26.77 or something weird like that per square foot rent for a brewery. So, I mean, more expensive than Denver type prices. Is that something you're seeing more and more? I mean, are landlords seeing gold in their eyes when there really isn't gold in breweries anymore per se? It's a solid business model, but I don't think anybody's going to become a billionaire again. Is it, or landlords coming late to the party and just trying to gouge people? What's going on with that kind of side of the business that you hear up in that direction?
So I think that is a little bit more of a separate issue. That landlord seemed like he was just trying to really just throw a wrench into any of the spokes of their plans. I know that there were individuals that approached this landlord offering to buy the building at retail value right now, and he said no. So it seemed like he was just wanting to, he had just some sort of personal vendetta against the Ironbird crew. and just wanted to make it difficult. And then in the end, he relented and let them keep doing business the way that they're doing it. So it was a power play that he then ended up not actually like following through with, which is it's just it was a weird situation. And I don't think that happens a whole lot around town. I think a lot of landlords are a lot more, helpful to help people get their brewery started and get people going on things. But yeah, that one just didn't seem like they were on board with everything.
Yeah, it's kind of, there's some weird stuff in taxation and real estate law. Sometimes leaving something empty can be more advantageous to your bottom line and actually bringing in rent. But on the other hand, having a renter and something as visible and traffic generating as a brewery can raise the value of your property too. So sometimes, people forget about that, I suppose, weird stuff.
Yeah. The big thing about
weird.
Yeah, the big thing about the Ironbird location is that right across the street, they bulldozed an old restaurant that had been there for 20 years, and they're building a boutique hotel. So I think the landlord is also trying to sort of like capitalize on like the futures for that location, which it could be great, but who knows when the hotel is going to be up, when it's going to be running. Right now, it's just a hole in the ground. They had just torn the building out. So there's just the remaining basement from the past building there. They haven't built anything yet. So I think he's sort of jumping the gun a little bit on charging too much, and it didn't fly.
Good.
Yeah, exactly.
So now, Ryan, you are always one that seems to have the best crystal ball ever, as opposed to see what's coming in the Colorado Springs beer brewery market. So I know there's just some amazing things coming. What are some of the things that are on the way that you are most excited about?
Well, one thing that'll just sort of help push things along, Weldworks opening their tap room here in town.
Yeah.
No, it's not a second brewery for them. It's just going to be a tap room. But just this morning, they were over at Cerberus doing a collaboration. So they're working their way into town. They're really humble people, which is sort of different than what you normally get in the brewing industry. For someone that is at their level, where their stuff is cult level, they just put out a beer and there's people clamoring for it. Yeah. Those people haven't even tasted it yet. And they're very humble people, so they're not trying to come in all guns and blazing, trying to take over town. They want to be a part of the community, and they picked Colorado Springs because it was a very similar community to Greeley, where it's a very community-minded area. And I've been hearing rumors that they're having issues with zoning and getting things approved for that location. I don't know the factuality to that. I've sent them emails and haven't heard anything back yet. But essentially, they're hoping to open here in a couple months, and it's just gonna be a bar, but they're gonna have special beers that'll be just Colorado Springs only, and that's gonna be one of the things that'll help propel at least Colorado Springs as a whole as being a craft beer destination. We've been working at it, all the different breweries, for a long time at it. You get places like Cerberus and Manitou Brewing and Trinity. Metric Brewing is recent. Brass is now kicking some butt. Even Deuce's Wild, which Chelsea, who's listening, works there now. Basically, there's a lot of places that have been really kicking butt, but there's still a couple places that are lagging behind, and I think it pulls everybody down just a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not going to name names, but there are places where I won't go there because the beer is infected. There's other places where I know that the equipment has some sort of infection in it, and even when there's new brewers in there and new people in there, I don't think things are changing. So there's different places in town that I think could use a little bit of extra competition. A couple of the guys that actually just got laid off from Phantom Canyon, Alan Stiles and Troy Johnson, they were the brewers over at Phantom Canyon. They always had a great little analogy, and it's a lot of things that's happening in College Springs. They call it ninja school. So you go and you take a karate class, and you learn the moves. You get your yellow belt. You're good. Well, at that point, if you were in the beer industry, you'd go and start your own dojo. You've learned the basics. You know how to do it. People say, "Ooh, you look really good doing the moves." You start your own brewery, and that's where I think a lot of we have a lot of home brewers that like the glory, like the feel of brewing, but they haven't market tested their stuff as well. Your family will always say that things are great. I've had my parents, try a homebrew batch, and they're like, "Oh, this is really good stuff." And I look at them like, "No, it's gross. It's not great at all." And so I think that's one of the problems with Colorado Springs as a whole is we've got a lot of home brewer started breweries, which is not a bad thing. It's just not a great thing because other cities with similar numbers of breweries, many of their breweries are started by brewers that have come from other breweries, where they know the business model, because it's not just making beer in your garage to share with your friends. This is a business model, and this is also a tourist attraction. This is a reason why people will come to your town. So it's just tough seeing some of the places drag everybody down.
So is it a percent?
Question about crystal ball. Go for it, John. Sorry.
Never mind. No, answer Jeff's question before you.
Yeah, no, I launched into that little diatribe there, but as to the crystal ball, I see everybody upping their game a little bit before many new places will open up.
Right.
Right now, there's a couple places that are working on opening. I know Dauntless is working on opening downtown. There's a couple other places that are looking at opening up their breweries. But I think the biggest thing right now is that the established breweries need to up their game, both in quality and also quantity a little bit. Some places are only making 3 barrels at a time and barely be able to keep up. Yeah, exactly. But for some people that works. If you're a local relic where you make 760 different types of beers over the course of your brewery time, that's okay, because you're trying to make as many different styles as possible. But if you're trying to put your beer out in bars and in liquor stores, you got to make more beer. And so it's going to be a quality over quantity, but the quantity is going to actually have something to do with it as well.
Awesome. John, did you have something?
Oh, Ryan, where I am now, last time you were on the show, I was in Costa Rica. But I brew in Albuquerque now, and I brew on a 3-barrel system, and we have 2 tap rooms, and I've got 20 different beers in process right now. Yeah, it's insane. So it's always going to the beer tenders. This is going to be out, but people seem to be okay with it for the most part, as long as it's not like a big flagship. I mean, if I run out of Honey Pale, I might be out of a job. Because I might not be out of a job. I might be dead. I mean, they might, come at me with, pitchforks and torches and whatnot. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, like you said, people upping their game. We've already discussed trimming our menu by 3 or 4 different beers just to be able to keep up.
Wow.
It's rough. And then when you're always behind, you'll say, "Oh God, I could take a shortcut," but no, because then you're going to flush a batch of beer down the toilet, and then you're really screwed. So, yeah, it's fun. Yeah, and those home brewers, they don't realize how much work it really is when you're doing it for a living.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right.
It's just a shame. You don't want any brewery to become the equivalent of, a winery that's not really a winery on the side of the 101 North selling garlic wine. Like it brings the rest of an amazing wine region down. Like I totally get that, man. Ryan, you talked about breweries being a destination, being like a place to like pull in tourists. And I got to ask, are you seeing that, like being out and about? Are you seeing more and more people coming directly to Colorado Springs for the beer? Is that happening?
I think it is, but I think it could be better. I think there are certain places in town that have really pushed that style of a place, but we still have a lot of breweries that are more like what you would consider a neighborhood brewery, where and actually the like Old Smiling Toad, if you've ever been to there, they were a neighborhood type place. Their newer spot is much more visible, much easier to find, right off the highway. Basically, they're going to become more of a destination spot. They've got a great patio. It's going to be an amazing spot. But
the Toad.
Yep, I think we're going through a little bit of a transition that a lot of other cities went through 2 or 3 years ago. I remember when Strange Craft Brewing up in Denver, their owner a couple of years ago told me, at that point in Denver, it was expand or die because of how fast everything was just exploding. Colorado Springs, we're not, there's not a huge amount of explosion and people growing, but we're at this sort of precipice for craft beer where if you're not going to fully commit and make great beer and enough of it and a lot of fun styles, but also a lot of really good quality beer, it might not be the right industry for you. And that's it's a tough thing to say because for some people this is their livelihood, this is their passion, but you have at some point sometimes it doesn't work.
Has the Tourism Bureau of Colorado Springs started to push the beer scene as something to bring people in? Because in Albuquerque they do a little bit of marketing as to the beer scene here. The actual city tourist department. Is that something you're seeing there?
Yeah, they've started like a little draft passport, to get people to go places. But the problem with it is that a lot of it's all advertising based. And so you look at places like the Gazette, which is our daily paper, or the Independent, which is the weekly alternative. It's all pay to play type things. Even their best of or best of Colorado Springs or best of the Springs, all of those things, you still see Dale's Pale Ale as best local beer. Even just because Oscar Blues has a restaurant here.
Right.
And it's because to get like a higher place on the ballot, you got to buy an ad. Like there's a lot of things that, our town could do a lot better to help promote the breweries. And so it's sort of this back and forth. The tourist bureau is trying, they're doing a good job, but they're also not, they're new to it because they're used to promoting restaurants and tourist attractions, and a brewery is not as much of a tourist attraction or someone you just send a family from Texas to. You want to make sure it's going to the right people and that you're not just sending someone to this brewery unaware of what's actually happening, what the laws and the rules are. So it's a weird sort of spot to be in.
So outside of the Springs, what are your thoughts on, beer as a whole, craft beer as a whole? Like, where is it heading? What are you looking to be new or to be invented, or what's kind of your outlook on where the industry is going?
Oh, nothing is new. Everything has been done before.
Right.
No, that was the opening lecture in my freshman oil painting class that I took in college. Basically, telling us that you're going to paint something, you'll think it's brand new, but everyone has used the same colors. They've mixed it the same way that you have at some point in the past. But I think that's the thing that might happen more, and that's actually sort of why I brought the Weiler Roots beer. Is this is a Helles style lager. German style. It's very similar to like a Budweiser, but in more of the classic Budvar style. So what I think is going to happen is it's sort of like the old stuff is new again. You're seeing a lot more Pilsners out there. You're seeing a lot more Kolsch's out there. A lot of these classic German styles, because we've had so much shift to lactose-filled milkshake IPAs. There's this sweet end that's not bitter, this sweet, juicy end of stuff. And it's going to just come back around full circle to that not as bitter German style of beer. Good mouthfeel, crisp, tasty. Brewed IPAs are in that same sort of boat. They've got a little more hops in them, but something that's just easy to drink. There's a reason why people go to Oktoberfest in Germany, in Munich, and they can drink 6 or 7 or 8 beers in a sitting, and it's just a part of the thing there. It's a little lower in alcohol. They're easy to drink. It's like, come on, just make some good classic styles. And that's actually, I was so torn when I went to Brass earlier today to pick up this crowler, is that they have a Kentucky Common that they're going to enter in GABF. They've got a bunch of really amazing lagers there right now. Michael Johnson, their brewer, came up from he used to work at Florence Brewing down in Florence, Colorado, and he is a really big fan of classic styles of beer, and he has transformed their brewing program pretty much from the ground up. He came into a system that was, they were probably in my lower tier of breweries in town, and he's vaulted them up to my top 5 easily. Yeah. And it's quality stuff. He's an amazing brewer, and he's been able to turn things around, brewing on a system that Triple S never had the ability to do anything with. Yep. So yeah.
Excellent. Jeff, anything else?
I was just hearing you talking about liking like a lighter style of beer, and I was just wondering if you're sober curious.
We'll get into that later. That was an aperitif for the discussion later.
It's okay. It's okay. So I haven't looked at the notes, but you're talking about the non-alcoholic beer trend.
No. We're gonna table that.
Okay.
So, John Riak, any final question?
Have you seen any breweries headed towards making their own hard seltzers?
I think that Pikes Peak Brewing has their own on tap right now. Some of the big guys, Oscar Blues has one, Upslope has one. Here's the thing about it right now is that it's a weird gray area because the TTB sits on their hands. They don't know what to call it. So if you look at any can of seltzer, if this was a can of seltzer, it would have the word beer on the back on the label. Even White Claw, if you look at it, it says that it's beer because it's classified as technically a fermented malt beverage. They use pretty much just cane sugar to brew. But because the TTB is so behind on classifications, it's classified as beer, and so it's sort of this weird thing. So breweries can make it and sell it and not have to change their license.
Right. Yeah.
Have you tried any of the craft seltzers?
We had a couple cans of Wild Basin, which is by Oscar Blues. Their stuff was pretty good. It was interesting. It's pretty much, it tastes like a LaCroix or a bubbly or any of the non-alcoholic ones, but there's just a little bit of that. I want to say vodka bite. It's basically vodka seltzered water. Carbonated water with vodka in it is what it tastes like. And so, like a White Claw has 100 calories in it. So for these people that are like all about the calories and beer has so much sugar and calories, blah blah blah, it's going crazy. White Claw alone has beat craft beer in sales over the like this year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By not close.
It's ridiculous. And I was at a barbecue the other day, and people came to that party who usually would have brought a mixer pack of beer, brought a mixed pack of White Claw.
There you
So
go.
I had one. And it's not great.
It's what?
It's not great, but it's light. And so on a hot day, like people just all of a sudden you've had 4 of them and you can't walk. That's the problem, though. They're still 5.5% alcohol.
Right. All right. Well, I could tell that Solomon is just itching to get into some PC drinking terms, and John is always down to talk about some hard seltzers. So Ryan, thank you for joining us for the interview portion of the show. We're going to move into the rest of the nonsense now. One last time, or no, we'll get to it later.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
Fuck his handles, man.
Yeah, we'll hit them once. We'll do them later. Shut up.
I'm starting focus on the beer 1 at Twitter. That's the numeral 1. Focus on the beer number 1.
That better be
The OG.
by tomorrow, Solomon. You're so prolific on Twitter as it is. You should have a second handle.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's me.
All right, let's get into
15 tweets.
Let's get into the CNN/Fox part of the show with Booze News. We discuss interesting, noteworthy, or let's be honest, fucking White Claw. All right, we got a couple things to talk about tonight, and I'm going to kind of bundle them all up into one mix pack here. So 2 articles, one from Porch. No, not that one. Not that one. One from CBS News. Nope, not that one. Which one are we talking about?
New York Post?
I don't know.
You highlight the wrong one. So John had one from the New York Post.
Is that the
John
that's
had
not
one
the
from
one
the-
either? None of the ones. No.
John had one from the New York Post about spiked seltzers, and then you had one about wine water from the Washington Post.
Okay. So John Ruyak.
New York Post, Washington Post. Is this all going on air?
Yeah, I may as well.
My social security number is 5555555.
That's not enough.
That's not enough.
2 more.
You're missing a couple digits there.
Okay. So we're going to start with this one. This is from the Washington Post, where there's a to go along with the White Claws and the hard seltzers. There's wine water is a new style drink option. There's a couple companies that make this, and essentially here's what it is. I don't even know why they would call this wine water, but whatever. So when they're making the wine, you get the grapes, you press the grapes. The must is then used with red wine. You're looking at the contact with the skins. Then you drain it off, and you've got all the muck left over, right? The skins and all that fun stuff. And they take that and they throw it in some water, and then they wait for a little bit, and then they drain it and bottle it and sell it, and they're calling that the wine water. That's one company out of Israel, and that's what they're doing. And then there's another company that's doing it, who their wine water is like peach grigio and cherry noir, and so it's these. I think it's the same concept, but then they're adding flavor to it as well. So like peach grigio makes me throw up in my mouth a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. But I watched the tasting on this, and she described them as being very sweet, kind of cloying for those, and then the ones that were a little bit more what you'd expect were pretty watery. They didn't have a whole lot of flavor to them because it's all going actually into the wine. So I was curious, and for John's sake, the title of it is talking about add wine water to list of options for the sober curious and La Croix fatigued. So a couple things. What do you guys think of these wine waters? And what do you think of being sober curious? It's literally pulling his face off.
Yeah, which is why we're going to make him wait. We've talked quite a bit recently about, people cutting back on alcohol, whether they're drinking less or whether they're wanting like lower percentage beers. And the concept of wine water, on some level, it's not even that new because rehydrating the grape skins, that's what Italians would do. They would just then run it through a still, and that's called grappa. But to actually drink the rehydrated grape skins, that's, I don't know. I mean, you could make it good. I don't think that a still wine water would be the way to go. I'd want something that was fizzy. I would actually expect it to be like lighter and more crisp, like a La Croix. So I guess that's okay. I don't know that. I guess the thing that's weird that we've kind of mentioned before is that, on some level, like here I am drinking this like really boozy imperial stout. And like, honestly, I didn't choose this because it was 12.5%. I wish it wasn't, honestly. I chose this because through this fermentation process, you've got this really delicious Russian imperial stout. Right. And so I think the problem is when you're trying to say this is just like wine, but there's no alcohol in it. I think the problem is like the process of alcoholic fermentation, which I guess this preserves some of the funkiness. That's nice. But the alcohol itself does provide a flavor component. I think that you're not well served if you're promoting this as being wine-like. Maybe if they just called it like a fizzy antioxidant drink or something like that, like maybe they'd sell more units that way and people wouldn't be so put off by it. I'm all for it. I don't doubt that the things that they were tasting for this article were shitty as well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm all for it. I think that the term sober curious is so obnoxious because, I mean, what are we saying? That like everybody is drunk all the time and they're wondering, I'm just dipping my toe in the pool of what it might be like to be sober for a moment.
Like you don't remember the first 20 years of your life at all. Or, 10 o'clock this morning.
I texted you guys, and I wish I could have talked about it last week, but I just didn't think it was appropriate, about how when I was at the Gilroy Garlic Festival this year, getting like the VIP treatment, I got unlimited beers, but the only beer that they had on tap was Bud Light. And I must have had like 10, and I didn't feel a thing. It was fantastic. So I can kind of see what it's like. There's that sober curious. I wonder what it's like to drink a bunch of beer and not be drunk. It was kind of cool. I don't know. That's a bullshit term, but and I don't even think actual people walk around saying I'm sober curious. Like that's all marketing. That's just the shittiest marketing I've ever heard. Like this is what we think millennials want to hear.
Right.
Yeah.
So Ryan, have you ever been sober curious? And what are your thoughts on wine water? And would you want to try, let's say, hop water?
So I've had hop soda before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. It doesn't have the same effect. It's not it's sort of gross, basically. It's you want to say it's good, but it's like it just tastes sort of like bland hopped water with a little sugar in it, which is what hop soda tastes like. But man, I just went to winewater.com, and this wine essence water looks incredible.
You think so?
They have white wine essence water, red wine essence water, white wine essence water gently sparkling, red wine essence water gently sparkling. And then they also have Chardonnay wine essence and Cabernet Sauvignon wine essence water. So basically, if you could take the last dribbles of the bottle of wine that your parents bought, pour water into it, shake it up a bit, and pour it out. That's basically what these things look like.
Yeah, I like that they see the essence of it too. Like there was a thought. There was a thought of wine.
I was gonna say, I was wondering, is each wine essence named after the spokesmodel that was posing in the picture?
I was waiting for that. And why is it sparkling or frizzante?
Right. What was that? What was that? Oh God, it's years old. The Harvard Sailing Club did that Thanksgiving dinner, and in it they were talking about how they just gave the essence of a spice to it, and they just said, wine. They said that to the drink, and it was an idea. Wine.
So the crazy thing about these though is that they're sugar. They put agave syrup in them.
What a hot mess. All right. And have you ever been sober curious?
I will have to say yes. Only because my wife, her podcast, they run the Little London Show.
Yeah.
And they run a dry January competition almost every year.
Okay.
So I both of the last 2 years I've made it, 5 and 7 days of that month.
Congratulations.
I know. It's pretty amazing.
All right. So John Ruyak, as the leader of the Sober Curious division, what are your thoughts on wine, water, and being sober curious?
Well, when you said there's flavor added, when I'm done in the brewery at the end of the day, I get out a squeegee and I squeegee the floor. And when I squeegee the floor to pull it over to the slot drain, that would add a lot of flavor to wine water. There's Star Sand and PBW mixed in there too. Maybe a little bit of wort. Yeah. And as far as sober curious goes, I want to punch the person who types that in. That's the biggest virtue signaling thing in this industry right now. That's just, I'm sorry, folks. That's fucking bullshit. We were talking about it before the show. That term actually makes me angry. It makes me angry. I have anger over that word. If you don't want to drink, fine. The sober curious, yeah. Who needs to be curious about that? I hope you go to work each day without being drunk, right? You're sober then. Oh, this is so curious. I'm sober. What? What?
I actually am, depending on what time you start listening to the show, I am sober fluid. So
there's a good chance.
Yeah, I've got that. Right. Yeah, my blood pressure's way up at this moment. I mean, that's just, oh God, it makes me angry.
All right. So all the wine water producers, be sure to reach out to Jeff at welikedrinking.com and we'll figure out where you can get samples sent to everybody on the panel, because obviously we're big fans, possibly. John,
did you want to explode?
You really want to see my head explode? Talk to me about fucking hard seltzer. Jeez.
No,
You know, I'm a God-fearing person, but Jesus Christ, what is your problem, folks? I went to Sprouts yesterday and I picked up some groceries and I was thirsty. I picked up this can of lemon water, carbonated sparkling water with a little bit of lemon in it, 0 calories, 59 cents. Right? So if Sprouts is making a profit, Sprouts is making a profit on selling a can for 59 cents. Imagine what it really costs to make it. Think about all the effort that would have put into making this. Now, you can buy a 5-gallon jug of 200 proof ethyl alcohol for like $325. That's retail, folks. So if you figure those big companies are buying that stuff for like half of that, that's like 16 cents a portion to make it 5% alcohol. So they're producing that can of White Claw for about 22 to 25 cents and selling it to you for $1.40. Folks, you're getting ripped off. Not to mention the fact, I mean, I know, I understand people want to make money about this stuff, and maybe there's a little bit of palate fatigue out there regarding beer. Drink the cooler, crisper styles that Ryan was talking about earlier. Kolsch, a Pilsner. I think brewed IPAs are done.
Or get a nice Riesling.
Yeah, get a Riesling. I don't think we really have to worry about it for the people that listen to this show. I'm talking to the masses out there that aren't educated and don't watch or listen. Hey, if you're an educated drinker, you'd be watching and listening to our show. I just think it's just a grab at cash. They're grabbing at your cash, folks. It's another thing that makes me angry.
Grinds your gears.
Grinds my gears. Frosty. I get a little frosty about that.
Valpak and Claw. All right.
You know what might make you more angry is that a 12-pack of the wine essence. They're all like less than 12 ounces. It's $70 for a 12-pack.
You know what? That doesn't make me angry. It just reminds me how stupid humanity is to pay for that.
Crap. All right.
It's like $5.75 for a 12-ounce bottle of this stuff.
Jeez.
So here's the thing: is like, and John got really
We've reached the end times.
He got frosted because he read this article about how spiked seltzers are the official cocktails of summer for this year. So move over, Aperol Spritz. But I guess the thing that's weird, and Ryan was talking about how like they're so slow to like regulate, like, is this a beer? Like, what the hell is this? They were making Zimas in 92. And they still haven't figured out what to call this stuff. I found it just interesting more than anything else because it's weird. I don't feel like I've been inundated with White Claw, but in the same respect, if you showed me the label without any words on it, I would know that it was a White Claw. So I guess I do have that as part of it's pervasive and it's part of our culture right now. It's weird that we're seeing, I'm hearing people asking each other like, hey, bro, are you riding the wave? Like, that's like a thing. Like, are you riding the claw? There's nice hashtags like White Claw Wasted. That's my favorite hashtag of White Claw Wasted. But I also thought it was interesting. Like, if you go back in time, I don't think there's much of a there's a difference here. There's a difference in sugar content. But if you go back to the early 2000s, like Smirnoff Ice made a big push. And it was really interesting reading this article that John was getting all frosted about. And they were reminding us about how, do you remember when bros would ice bros with Smirnoff Ice? And it was funny that here was this thing that they sold a bunch of units based on this meme where you like force people to drink it. But what happened was, because people realized that, or they felt like it was a punishment, although they had a big burst, in the long run, it just devalued that company. And so I'm wondering if what we need to do here is just claw people. You got clawed.
And what does that mean? Like we run around, we drive around, throw
You
White Claw at people.
You put white claws in creative places, and when people uncover it, you look at them and you go, "You got clawed, meow," and that means they have to drink it right then and there.
Do you have to meow at them?
You do have to, unless you're dressed like Santa Claus, and then you say you got claused.
That's worse than the word sober curious.
It's you know, and I know this is like the second time we've talked about White Claw, but it is pretty fascinating to see how it has exploded. And it's all like Instagram meme based. Like it really seems like it's all you see. Like Ryan quit a Facebook group because it was supposed to be about beer and it was all White Claw memes. Like it's so, I see so many videos and memes and things about White Claw that it's just, it's remarkable how we, not the people on this panel, but we as a drinking society or community have elevated White Claw to where it is. It's not because of a marketing push. Like I don't think I've ever seen an ad for White Claw, but I see 55 memes a day about the claw. And
you know what you see when you walk into the grocery store? The boxes creatively glued together like a tidal wave.
Yes, you do see that. Okay. So it's a really interesting phenomenon to me to watch. Although I think my favorite one was Fred from Scooby-Doo was standing there in front of a can of White Claw. And he says, "Let's see who it really is." And he pulled off the White Claw with a Zima bottle. All right. Anything else on that before we never talk about White Claw again?
Can we never talk about it again?
Yeah. Okay.
Can we please? Huh?
Have any of you ever been iced, or have you ever iced a bro?
Brian has.
I used to work in a bar where we would hide the Smirnoff Ice in random spots where someone that if you were cleaning, you had to like maybe clean behind the toilet and there was an ice sitting there.
Wow, yummy.
So so basically everyone's closing down the bar at like 3 a.m. and someone finds an ice that's just sitting there, and they're always put there like right before someone has to go there. So it's not like it's sitting there for too long. You just gotta crack it open and get on one knee and drink it.
I love that you have to take a knee and you're in the bathroom while you're doing it.
Oh yeah. Right where you're at it. You got to do it.
All right. Well, the last 10 minutes of this show has definitely made it so that I need to call something. Oh, fuck this episode. I need to call.
Last call.
Last call. Time to clean house and lock the doors. You know what we do here, folks. We're looking for a little help from you. Follow us on the socials on Twitter where We Like Drinking 1. That's number 1. Instagram and Facebook at We Like Drinking, or join our private Facebook group known as The Tavern by visiting welikedrinking.com/tavern. One last time, Ryan, where can the folks find you on the social media platforms?
We're on the Facebook and the Twitter. We do things on those platforms. We're also on the Instagram, and I think that's all of the social platforms that you young kids use that we would be on.
Are you on the TikTok? Are you on the
TikTok? I don't even know what you're talking about. I have a 5-month-old. He's not on social media yet, so I haven't learned about these yet.
All right. And those are all at Focus on the Beer?
Yeah, that Focus on the Beer is everywhere. Yep.
All right,
or focus on the beer #1.
Yes.
John Ruyak, if the people want to let us know how great this show is, where can they go to tell us that?
Well, search up the show on Apple Podcast and leave us a big, fat 5. They haven't allowed 6-star reviews yet. 5-star review.
We got another one this week, so thank you. They didn't leave a word review. They just left us 5 stars, so we appreciate that. So Jeff Solomon.
Methyl.
Yeah, hopefully. Jeff Solomon, do we have anything more from the comments, or did we make a bestie connection?
Dude, Chelsea and Methyl Ethyl are it's been nonstop. It's not even, I don't even think they've been listening to the show, honestly.
They have.
Perfect. So, Jeff, if somebody's looking to spend a little bit of money on our show, how can they do that?
Well, more than anything else, we appreciate that you've been spending your time with us. And if you want this show to continue to exist in perpetuity, it doesn't happen for free, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm trying to say. So why don't you hit up welikedrinking.com/pledge to find out more information about becoming a patron of the show through Patreon. So for a donation as little as $1 a month, you can get the show a little bit early. You can get some behind the scenes access. You can vote on polls, find out or tell us what we're going to be drinking on the show. And there's hella swag that can be coming your way as well. So that's welikedrinking.com/pledge and get that Patreon app on your phone so you don't miss a beat.
Ryan, I think Focus on the Beer is on the Patreons, aren't they?
We are. We're looking at pursuing that further. We only have a couple supporters. You guys have a ton. But yeah, we are on the Patreon. So look at also Focus on the Beer on Patreon.
All right. Okay. You can also find the show notes for this episode with all the links to the stories or mentions we had at welikedrinking.com/episode. Oh my goodness. This was a wild episode, as I knew it would be, but it's a time where I get to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
So I find it interesting that, Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. Jeff Bezos wants to set up something on the moon or whatever like that, and get us reaching out to the cosmos, but leave it to, I'm not sure if it was Mexico, Gondor, or Israel that sent a rocket to the moon and actually shot up several thousand microscopic 6-legged teddy bears dressed in sumo wrestler suits to set up a colony on the moon. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up tardigrades and look at a picture, and there's now a colony of those tiny little sumo wrestling 6-legged creatures wrapped in resin or something like that, sitting on the surface of the moon. So, yeah, Elon Musk, you got smoked.
Jeff Solomon.
I hate to inform all you all listeners, but you just got iced. Stop the music. Dude. Get on one knee. Dude.
Is this Aerosmith?
Dude. Drink. Dude. Okay, bring it back.
What?
What, you want me to rap or something?
Was that Aerosmith?
Yes, it was Aerosmith featuring Alice Cooper.
All right, Ryan, any final thoughts before we let you get out of this?
No.
Perfect. Ryan, it is always good to have on the show. It is always a hot mess. I'm not blaming that on you. I'm
good.
just saying, when you're on the show, it's a hot mess, and I love it. So, folks, be sure to check out Focus on the Beer. Awesome podcast, awesome blog. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. And with that, I'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast. Where you'll never drink alone.
All right, stop. Collaborate and listen. Ice is back with a brand new invention. Something. Grab a hold of me tightly, flow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo, I don't know. Turn out the lights and I'll glow to the extreme. I rock a mic like a vandal. Light up the stage and wax it up like a candle. Something. And the thing and the
Wine water.
Wine water.
Wine water.
A1A Beachfront Avenue. That's all you need to know. Just remember Beachfront Avenue and just stand there and listen and don't do anything, but then just yell Beachfront Avenue when it's appropriate. Everyone will think you're a G. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. All right. Well, Ryan was in on the chat with Methyl Ethel and Chelsea. Oh my goodness. It's all.
How'd I know he was gonna go down that road? Because I'm a open ass book. Meth to the F.
All right. Awesome. We're gonna have to end the show now. So Methyl and Chelsea, I hope you guys have contact information for each other.
I mean, the chat's still open. You can keep going.
Okay. All right.
Super 8
yeah,
is
I'm working
the
with them.
goes, and you can develop your film in it.
Thank you. There you go. That's true. Super. All right. Thank you, viewers. See you next time.
Bye, Jeff McKinney.